Everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am here with my great friend Tiffany, and we are going to be talking about teenage parenthood and identity and the labels that were placed on us. So Tiffany and we met through church, and we discovered that we were both teenage mothers at the age of 14, and that is a very, very young age. And so I thought it would be an excellent topic to talk about the labels that were placed on us, the stigmas, the stereotypes, and the things that we struggle with as teenage moms. So I'm gonna let Tiffany kind of talk about how it was for you as a teenage mom, discovering you were pregnant, and just all of those feelings that you had being 14 and pregnant.
Sure. So for me, I was not making good choices. I was running the streets and just had no regard for my life or for anyone else's, really. And so when I got pregnant, I felt like it was God telling me that He had more for my life. And so it was never a question. I just was like, okay, and let me get my life together. But for the people around me, it was really hard. One, I was judged and criticized because I was pregnant, and they just assumed things like I was promiscuous and I was all these other things, which wasn't even true. And then also, my child being biracial, I had some backlash and some really mean things said to me.
Wow.
So that was a whole nother.
That is very interesting because when I found out I was pregnant, number one, a lot of people automatically, first of all, I was afraid to tell anybody I was pregnant. I was very frightened. I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant for 6 months. I was carrying Amaya for 6 months before I told anybody I was pregnant. It was more like an unveiling. Now, I finally felt free, but there was so much of a stereotype with being a teenage mother, and I was so afraid I didn't know what to do or how to say it or if I would be accepted or rejected. But what I discovered, same as you, is that I was going to be rejected anyway. People had their assumptions about, who I was now, what this would do for my life, what this would do for my child's life. And so I really took a lot of that stuff all in and all on myself. And I said, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to have 2 jobs if I need to, or whatever it is, in order so that I can prove to people that I'm not, a stereotype, that I'm not going to be, a statistic. And I fought so hard with all of those identity issues or those labels that by the time I was 30 years old, I didn't know who I was. And not even 30, but before I turned 30, when Amaya passed away, because she and I had grown up basically together, when her life was taken away, I was basically like, well, who am I? I fought so hard to be mom. I fought so hard to do the right thing and to want better for my child so that she could, be better, that I completely forgot about me. And so not only am I struggling with grief and loss, but I'm also struggling with who am I and who did God create me to be, and why would you put me in a situation where now I have to discover that? So let's talk about that with you and how hard you felt that you had to work and you discovering who you were.
Absolutely. So like you, that was the other piece. I heard a lot of, you're throwing your life away, you're never going to finish school, you'll never be anything, you'll never make anything, you'll be a statistic, you'll be on welfare, which I wasn't ever on welfare by the grace of God.
Right,
And so, which there's nothing wrong
with that. Side note, nothing wrong.
Right. But, I had lived my life trying to break down walls and remove whatever barriers had been placed in my path, that I woke up at 30 and was like, whose life am I living? Like,
wow.
I didn't even know that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I bought my own house at 27. I was the first female in my family to do that.
That is amazing.
finished college. I started college at 16. I was the first person in my family to go to college and to complete that.
Wow.
So it was like all of these things of I'm going to do this, and I didn't even know if I wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it because people told me I couldn't
do it. Yeah.
And I remember as my career accelerated, feeling, I don't want to say embarrassed, but embarrassed is like the closest word, of not wanting people to know my personal business, not wanting them to know that I was a teen parent because of judgment, and especially in a professional setting, oftentimes people are more judgmental.
They are.
And so I hid myself. I didn't connect with people, which I realized, like I said, one day when I woke up and I was like, okay, I don't even know if I want to live here or work here or be doing these things. I was vice president at age 30, which was another, huge feat.
Right.
And so I prayed about it, and I just felt all this turmoil. Like, I wasn't happy, even though I had all these blessings around me. And I really started being vulnerable with people and sharing my story. And the more that I shared my story with people who didn't look like me, they were older, maybe had never met a teen parent.
Correct.
They were like blown away. Like, you've got to tell your story. And that was weird for me.
Yeah.
Because I lived it, so it was like no big deal. But then the more that I thought about it, I'm like, even now, seeing a young person pregnant, you know what they're going to experience.
Yes.
And that's scary. So it's a little bit easier to relate that way.
Yes.
Than I had kind of taken myself out of it. So then I would say, it took me selling my house and moving somewhere where I knew no one to really rely on God and to unpack, who am I? What is my purpose? I've gone through all these experiences, and I felt like I had to fight so hard to become this person, and then who is this person?
Who is she? Yeah, that was similar to what I went through. I think for me, though, I went through this stretching and this character development where I looked, in my mind, really bad. Like, I looked like a horrible person because I was fighting so hard. Like, becoming a teenage mom at 14, which is a very, very, very young age when we look and think about it now. I mean, at 14, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought I knew everything. I thought I had my whole life planned. You couldn't tell me anything. But looking back, I really didn't know anything. And still at the age of 34, I don't know as much as I think I know. And I'm okay with that. But I was always used to fighting, and not physically fighting, but fighting against the words that were spoken, fighting against the people, always defending myself, always wanting to like prove people wrong, but like, who are you to tell me who I am and who are, that's how I was. So I feel as though I looked really bad when I learned that, and then I had to learn through the grace of God that every battle is not yours to fight. And it was time for me to press into God and just really discover who I was as a woman, what I liked, what I didn't like, what was my passion, what was my desire, how did I want to help people, how did I want to serve, not in just my workspace, but my community, what kind of leader I wanted to be. And it took time. I'm still discovering who I am, but I just wanted to just drop all of those labels that were placed on me and really just put on who God called me and purposed me to be. I was like, if I'm here living this life, if I'm still here now after everything that I've been through, then I must have a purpose here on this earth. He must be calling me to something greater than what I am. And I just want to discover that. I want other young girls, and I know you do too, and you don't have to be a teenage mom.
Absolutely.
You can be a single mother. You can be a college student discovering, that you're pregnant, that this is not the end. I think that's where I was at one point. I was like, this is the end. My life is over. I'm going to have to fight all of this and fight all of that. People's judgments are going to be on me. I'm going to have to hide behind a mask of who I really am. And that's not true. And we're evolving, I think, into a world in a culture where you don't have to be what everybody says that you are.
That's great.
You can look how you believe you should look, not how everybody else should look, you can go after and have those desires and still carry a baby on the side of your hip.
Right. That's true.
So yeah, that's what I hope people will see.
And that's another good point, you know, for young people. You know, I asked the question of, I've done a workshop of what did you want to be before the world told you who you were?
So good.
And even with our children, I think we're like, okay, you've got to go to school, you've got to pay attention, and it's like we've all been programmed to think and to speak, and it's like then we wonder why people are walking around confused.
Absolutely, exactly.
You know, that inner calling,
right?
That vocation that was placed upon our lives.
Yeah.
So, and something else you said that I was thinking about, you know, even having a child and being a single parent, you know, I felt like I had to make all these sacrifices, which you do as a parent.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything for myself. I went to school, I worked, and I took care of my son, and I did things for my son.
Right, exactly.
And then even into adulthood, and even into my 30s, I'm just really getting back to understanding self-care and taking time out for yourself, and that's actually not a bad thing. You can't be with your children all the time. It's not good for them or you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I'm just discovering that myself, because I think when I look at culture even now, it's like the world wants you to be like superwoman. It wants you to be like, you gotta go to school, and not saying going to school is a bad thing, because I'm back in school in a graduate program. Nothing's wrong with that, but that's what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting educated in that area, in that field. But I can also take time out for myself. There's nothing wrong with me getting a massage. There's nothing wrong with me getting a pedicure. There's nothing wrong with me telling my children or my husband, listen, I need some time for myself. I need a little bit of space, because if I need to be mentally well, you guys want me to be
right.
You want me to be by myself for just a little bit, because you don't need me. You don't need Shayna popping off on you. You really don't need that. So I think that's important too for young women, especially. You don't have to be superwoman. You don't have to feel like you got to take on the world. If you feel like you're not even called to go to college right now, then take time, figure that out. Okay, what am I going to do in lieu of that?
Yeah.
If you feel as though like you are called to school, then think about how you're going to, transition your life and your family around that. It's all about really discovering who you are, because if the world doesn't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, if your child doesn't know who you are, then how are we supposed to get what we need from you? Because I feel like people are connected to us for a reason and a purpose. Sometimes for a season, but also for a lifetime. And our children need us to be ourselves in that. Right. They need to know that it's okay to make mistakes.
That's something else you made me think of.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to communicate. I remember feeling like, and maybe some of it is from also the community that I grew up in, but needing help was a weakness.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe in the last 4 years, I've realized none of us have it all figured out.
Right.
None of us can do it all alone.
Right.
It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely.
It's actually something we should be doing, because each of us have different strengths and areas that we can help each other in.
Absolutely.
And we should be relying on each other.
Absolutely.
God wants us to be in community with people.
Yes, He does.
I think, being strong doesn't mean you don't ask for help. I think that's actually a greater form of strength, to say, I need help.
Absolutely. So. And I think it's also, too, a good thing as women, as young women, to build a community, because when you said that, it made me think of community too. Yeah. We have to be very mindful of the company that we keep.
Absolutely.
We have to be very mindful of the things that people are saying around us. We have to be mindful of what we're saying to ourselves. But there is nothing wrong with, as a woman, me supporting another woman, no matter what color she is, no matter what's her background. If I'm connected to you, which you and I are connected to one another, I'm here to help build you up and lift you up because we serve in our community together. And then you're there to do the same thing for me. And so we're not here to tear each other down. If you're not connected to a person, it's then also trying to figure out, okay, I need to create some space and some distance, or vocalizing it. But as young women, because one of the things I see now is we're like this when we should be like this.
Yes.
We should be building each other up. We should be building a community of people. Especially being a young mother or a teenage mother, it's important about the company that you keep. So this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad that you agreed to do it because when you have conversations like this, you have to have a level of vulnerability as well, and that can be hard, and transparency can be hard too. But I just thank you for that. I also just want to say, if you guys want to see more content and videos, please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. You can also follow me on social media. My Instagram and Facebook are going to be in the subscription box, so you can follow us. And next time, well,